to the border right now. Shocking new claims from anti-human trafficking activist Tim Ballard. You know his story. It's portrayed in the box office hit Sound of Freedom, the movie everybody's talking about. He shared this video just a couple of days ago and made this bold claim. I could not ignore it, alleging that thousands, tens of thousands of unaccompanied migrant children are now unaccounted for. The U.S. releasing them to unvetted sponsors. But these are not host families. Ballard says this is the last leg of sex trafficking between the cartels and within America's own borders. Jorge Ventura is live. Jorge, I know you looked into this for us.
Yes, we did, Adrienne. And that new movie that you were talking about, Sound of Freedom, about Ballard's efforts to combat child sex trafficking, is drawing huge crowds nationwide. Now, Ballard did make some astonishing claims in a new video posted on Instagram. I dig into some of the data he cited, and we have reaction from the federal government. Take a look.
You know what happens? I've been down there. The traffickers give the kids a little piece of paper with a name on it of the sponsor.
Anti-human trafficking activist Tim Ballard sounding the alarm about what he says is a failure by the U.S. government to vet migrant sponsors before they turn young children over into their custody. This, he says, is fueling sex trafficking here in the States.
And Health and Human Services gets those kids by policy. All they can do is call the number, and George Smith or whoever picks up the phone. Oh yeah, Jose Gonzalez. Yeah, I'm the sponsor.
NewsNation actually witnessing this firsthand at the Texas border in March.
Basically instructions on where he wants to go.
Speaking to a prominent conservative conference, Ballard pinning the blame on the U.S. government for allegedly transporting these migrant kids directly to alleged child sex traffickers working with Central American cartels.
The United States government is therefore complicit, and the United States government is fulfilling and completing the final leg of a child trafficking experience.
Federal officials continue to be overwhelmed by the number of unaccompanied minors reaching the southern border. Under the Biden administration in the past 2 years, more than 250,000 unaccompanied minors entered the U.S. Most of the time, the Department of Health and Human Services transfers unaccompanied minors to an approved family member, but that's not always the case. But in 2021, the same year vetting restrictions were loosened for sponsors, over 16,000 unaccompanied minors were released to distant relatives or non-family sponsors. And according to the New York Times, more than 85,000 children released inside the U.S. cannot be reached by the Health and Human Services for the routine follow-up a month after living with their sponsor. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra said in April, quote, "I have never heard of that number of 85,000. I don't know where this comes from. And if so, I would say it doesn't sound at all to be realistic." But it's this report that Ballard cites as clear evidence of child sex and labor trafficking.
In Sound of Freedom, the movie based on Ballard's anti-sex trafficking work continues its underdog success. The movie came in this weekend at second, just behind Mission Impossible. And so far, it has ranked in $90 million in the box office, Adrienne.
All right. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.